Hey, welcome to ToolSpecs. All right, let's see if I can find that live here. Okay. Preparing the chat. Okay. Testing the chat. Okay. Everything should be working fine now. Hey, welcome to ToolSpec. So today I thought we would talk a little bit about getting prepared for power outage. And as you can see here, I'll show you, I'll move the camera. As you can see here, I got lots of stuff to get ready for a power outage. And we're going to go through this a little bit and make sure that, you know, we understand what we might need and all this. So first of all, I'm in Canada here. Snow's been melting a lot outside. The ground is still frozen, so the water is pooling everywhere and there's not too much space to go. And then it happened that today, well, all weekend they're calling for pouring rain and a high storm and all of this. So we need to get ready for this. So there's a couple paid project that I have here that I'm gonna show you, but there's lots of it. Oh, the lights are flashing. I might lose the stream. So there's a couple paid projects that I got here, but most of them are projects that I bought myself. So most of the YOB stuff like this here, power inverter, I got this myself. Some of the stuff like the MELIF equipment, MELIF actually sponsors some of the project for some videos, so we can review that too. So we're talking about, you know, high storm and water pooling everywhere. Well, one of the big thing that I have here, it's my house is built on some kind of a swamp or a river. So because of that, like all underground, and because of that, there's always lots of water coming up, and I need to actually get the sump pump going. Like my sump pump, when the snow's melting or if it's raining like crazy, it'll go on every 10 minutes. Like it'll fill up the whole bowl, and then you know, it'll just keep like filling and emptying and filling and emptying. So I need lots of backup for this. So because of that, I'm just looking at the chat for a second here. Nice work. Die official, yeah, the DIT official, sorry. So yeah, thank you. So one of the thing that MELIF actually supply for me, it's actually a pole pump. So I can put that into the sump and the sump reservoir, and then we can pump the water out of there using garden hose and bring that to a sink or bring that to outside. So this is actually a DeWalt compatible pump. So if you have any DeWalt battery, depending what kind of, you know, batteries you already have for your equipment, that's gonna go by that. As you can see, I get lots and lots of YOB tools, and I get lots of YOB batteries. So my main go-to usually is going to be to go with the YOB tool for anything that I might need around the house. I still use those at work too. But anyway, so I get the water pump here that can pump up to 720 gallons per hour. So we're all set with this MELIF pump. And then another thing too, it's downstairs. I got videos about that. I installed battery backup, sump pump, and so the battery backups actually hook up to transport truck battery. And because those are nice size, they can last for a long time. The thing though, it's when the batteries die, then I'm out of luck after that. So I need to have backup like this. Now, MLF sell batteries too. So if you're having just one battery, it doesn't come with battery. So if you just have one battery for DeWalt and you want to get some more affordable battery, then you can get some that will fit with the tool too. They sell those pump with the Makita, Makita and Milwaukee as well, compatible. So we have our water here that we can deal with. And then another thing that they do is the inverters. So this is a 200 watt inverter. I haven't reviewed this yet. So that's going to come in a video shortly. I have to review it. But so they sell this, and that will fit right on top of one of your DeWalt battery. I don't think that they make it for Makita and Milwaukee yet, but they're working on that. And that will give us 120 volts. So let's say that, I'm running out of juice with that battery downstairs and I didn't have the pump, then I can get this. I think those retail for $50 or something like that. It's also actually like Mel sent it to me to test it. And that's one test that I want to do. It's to see if I unplug the battery of my backup electric sump pump downstairs, if I can plug it in to here and then just use DeWalt batteries to run it for a little bit. In theory, it should work because I think it's just 60 watt or something like that for the water pump. And it's a 3rd horsepower or something like this. So that should work. The other thing that the advantage that you're going to have with this, it's actually have a USB-C and USB-A port. And because of that, you'll be able to charge your cell phone or run some lights. And there's actually a light in the back here. I have to turn it on first, I guess. And then you can run a light like that if you want to, play a board game with your kids or play some cards or something like that. You can have that on the side and have your phone hook up to it to make sure that you keep charge, everything charged up, right? So that's going to be a pretty cool tool. Now, if you don't have power tools and you don't have a big set of battery, then what you can do is if you have a whole, you replace your old battery in your car or something like this, and you can keep those because usually they're pretty good. Still, they'll be able to, even though you cannot start your car, they're good for running power inverter and things like that. So just keep them charged up, keep them in your garage or your shop, whatever. And then you can hook up those, little cheap 300 watt power inverter here. It'll go right to your car battery. Those also have the 120 volt here that you can run. This is a older model. So back then they just had the USB-A port on there. USB-C was pretty new. So this one here only have the USB-A. You'll have to look at more recent inverter if you want to have the USB-C. Jua Game. Hi, Jua Game. Trying to look at the chat. The camera is a little bit too far. I cannot read the chat on there. I know there's a couple more in this, but I'll say hi to you as soon as they end up popping up on my phone. So I got other inverter too, and this is because we run a half-grid. We have a half-grid property up north, about an hour and a half, 2 hours from here. There's actually it's such in the bush that there's no cell phone signal on there. And the road is actually 1 kilometer away. So I have 1 kilometer of trail that, we actually made it wide enough to be able to drive car through there all the way to the property. And so we're pretty far. And it was way too expensive to run hydro from the road to the property. So we're running batteries, inverter, generator, and we're doing a little bit of solar panel and all this. But anyway, so those that's where some of this stuff come from, because I started like with a 300 watt inverter, and that's good enough to charge your phone and run a fan to help you sleep at night, but that wasn't enough. So I upgraded to a 500 watt inverter, and that was also good enough to do a little bit of stuff, but still not enough. So now I have a 2000 watt inverter at the property, and it stays hooked up to the battery that the solar panels are charging. And that's what we use. We can plug up our camping trailer right to it. Actually, I got that 32-foot camping trailer, and it runs everything. Can even run the microwave. The only thing that you need to know about inverter, it's if you're getting modified wave are not super good to run motor. Well, if it's a fan motor, it's gonna be fine, but like your microwave, for example, it's gonna do a little bit of buzzing noise. It's gonna work and warm up things, but look for a pure shine. They're not that much more money. There used to be a lot of difference for the amount that you would have to pay, but now they're a really good price. So, and yeah, just, if you're going to go from a 2000 watt inverter, it's going to be like maybe $100 difference for like 2000 watt to have the modified wave to the pure sine wave. So you might as well go with the pure sine. And the modified wave also, you can run your TV with it, but you might see a line going across the screen once in a while if you're running that. So it's, I recommend, like, those are holders, so good to cool down and run lights and little fan. But other than that, like, I wouldn't run a TV full time on this. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're gonna start shopping around for things like that. So the other thing that we're doing right now, it's, the weather is still cold here. Actually, like I said, it's freezing rain that is going to come. So one thing that I got is actually one of those little heater, just a space heater. And this one I actually just plug into a socket. So it's only at 350 watt. So that would be something that you could run with a small inverter, like a 500 watt inverter would be good enough for this. So that's a pretty simple one. It just plugs into a normal plug in the back. Now I have to do more tests on there to see how long you would be able to run it for, but that can give you like a little blast of heat to warm up a room or something like this in your house, or when you're camping to warm you up for half an hour or warm up your sleeping bag a little bit. So yeah, that'd be sweet. So we have to do some tests on there and see how long the battery and which inverter we're gonna use to see how long we can run this thing. But when I saw that at the store, I think they were already $29. So why not, right? So I might as well test this. So yeah, so we have our source of heat, but now, you might have power outage in the summer too, with the summer storm and all this. So if it's the summer, then you might want to get yourself a fan that works with battery, or you just a fan that you're going to plug into your inverter so that you can cool yourself down, so you're not breaking a huge sweat. Now, there's lots to check out here, but we check out our water pump. I'm just going to put this on the ground here, get myself a little bit more room. So, all right, let's take a step back here, because I'm going all over the place with this live. So yeah, depending of which battery you have, then that's going to be your main two: power tool and inverter and backup that you have. So I got some 40 volt Huobi batteries. I got some different sizes 18 volt Huobi batteries too. So that gives me a lot to be able to go through, and lots of option out there for me. I also have those little, I think those are, 4-volt. Those are also YOB battery. Now, if we talk about batteries, and we're talking about backup power right now for power outage, so the YOB battery, the 4-volt system, the 2 amp hour, the 2 amp hour one will only flow the power like one way. Well, it flows the power to charge it, but then it'll flow the power only through those port and those tabs to get out the power here. It won't flow both way to a USB-C cable. So because of that, you can only power up stuff like your flashlight here, for example. So this is actually super bright. I love this one because you can put it if you're doing construction or something like that, then that fits into 2x4, and it's also magnetic. If you're working on your car, you can stick it up and see what you're doing, right? And there's different settings so you don't go through the battery too fast. But going back to the battery, YOB makes 2 batteries, so the 2 amp hour and the 3 amp hour. 3 amp hour are a bit more expensive, but they're worth it. I don't have one yet, but I'm planning to get one because the power flow both ways into the USB cable, so a USB port. So because of that, you can now charge your phone with it, or you can use it into your 4-volt tools that you would have with it, or your flashlight. So because of that, those batteries are way more versatile. So if you want to upgrade, if you already have some 2 amp hour, I suggest that you go with the 3 amp hour, especially for being able to charge your phone. Doesn't matter if you're at a job site or anything like this. All right, let's see who else we have in the chat. Akat Singh, hi. All right, so what else do we have? So I told you that, I got some 18-volt battery. Now I got that big boy here. It's the 12 amp hour one. And I got this, not really to run on tools, because you try to put this onto a drill and that's quite heavy. So this is great to run fan, to run lights, if you're going to have power outage for a long time, but also to run different power inverter. This power inverter here is 1,000 watt. Now it's 1,000 watt, but it's actually a there's 3 ways to power up this inverter. So there's the space for the cable here, which this cable is going to plug into your car cigarette lighter or auxiliary port. So this will only give you 120 watt. Now, if you're going to use one of those batteries and you put it on the side, now this will give you 300 watt. And then the thing that will give you 1,000 watt is, now if you take this battery out, well, actually you don't have to, but there's a couple ports at the back here, and then you can hook up your cable to it. So with those tabs on one end here, and those just fit in there, and then you can now plug this to your truck battery or car battery, and now you have your 1,000 watt. So because now you have to carry a big car battery, 1,000 watt might be a little bit of a pain to bring with you in the house, but you'll still have some nice power. Now you can power up some bigger appliances. Now, lots of people complain about power inverter when they're buying them. And the thing why they're complaining about is that most people want to be able to do a coffee or something like that with them. The thing that you have to know about trying to make a coffee is most coffee machine or anything that have a heater element that's going to warm up water or warm up something else like this, it's actually going to have, it's going to consume over 1,000 watt. Usually a coffee maker will be 800 to 1,500 watt. So a power inverter like this might be a little bit too small. But you don't have to worry about having like pure sine because the heater element is not a motor. So it doesn't matter what kind of wave for electricity you're giving it, it's going to work either way. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So depending what kind of things you want to do, or if you want to make coffee, then shop for a coffee maker that's going to be more down to the 800 watt. And then that's going to be something that you're going to be able to use during a power outage. So we have this. Now we'll talk about fan, and we can talk about different light. So most of the light that you can buy now on the market are LED, and LED light are starting to be more and more affordable all the time. But you want something that you can swap the batteries because it's always nice to have a nice set with lots of batteries and be able to, go around and then just, quick, oh, this battery is dead. Let's put the next one in. Now for a YOB, like myself, because I started with YOB, it was like cheap. It wasn't too expensive to buy. Sorry. It wasn't too expensive to buy at the beginning. When I joined the YOB system, it was more like a do-it-yourself project kind of tools. So they were not in the Pro series yet. Now they're starting to be way more into the Pro series. But because of that, I started to accumulate lots and lots of batteries. So those 18-volt battery, I probably have like, I get 10 or 15 of those. Those 40-volt batteries, another like, probably like 10 or so. So for me, it was worth it to keep going with getting more and more of that brand of tools. But if you're just starting, you just have to look up which brand of tool is going to be able to have an inverter and have like the most things that you're going to be able to use for power outage. Like I think DeWalt, they make the DeWalt brand, they make inverters, but they're more like, you hook them up like to your car battery, but they're not with clamps like this. Usually you hardwire them. So they're a little bit more of a pain. They make some that are 1,000 watt or a little bit more than that. They don't really make some that are this small here, like 150, 200 watt. But if you're going to go to Milwaukee, I think they make the 150 watt. So, and it's way more compact than this. It'll fit like right nice and low into your battery. So if you're going to go with this, I think Rigid also makes some small inverter. So now if you're going you want to power up your TV and your modem, for example, because you still want to be able to watch a show at night with the power outage. So you might want to go with like, those cheaper, smaller inverter. So look at the brand that you can have depending on your tool. You might have to switch. Like, if you're a big DeWalt guy, they don't make those inverter for you yet. All right. So anyway, let's move on. Now, most of those inverter, like this is modify sine. All of those off-brand one are going to be modify sine wave. So what you can do now, it's if you have bigger batteries like this and you want to run stuff more like computers or a little motor that might need to have pure sine wave, then you might want to go with the 40-volt adapters. So 40-volt one, they will give you the nice stable signal. So it's going to be better option to be able to run everything. Now, if you're somebody that need a lot of people now those days, they need those CPAP, or I think that's what it's called, to help you breathe at night. So if you're going to go camping or something like this, and you need to have one of those machines, they're pretty sensitive. So I would try to go with a pure sine for this kind of things. Now, if you just want to power up, I'll show you. If you just want to power up your phone and you don't know how long the power outage is, and you want to really go overkill, or you're going to go for like a week away, you want to make sure you're powering up everything, well, you can go with this backpack here. So this is actually a backpack slash charger for those 40-volt batteries. And I'm going to show you something. I think it's funny just because it's so overkill. But so if I open this here, so that actually fit 3 40-volt battery in here. So there's 3 spots. I'll use one at the time. But now you can load that up with all of those batteries. And on the side here, the other port, that's the charger port at the bottom. But at the top, you have a USB-A port. So this is actually to run tool like blower, like leaf blower and things like that. I tried it with, I have a video out there powering up a snow shovel. If you just want to power up your phone and keep it charged for a week-long getaway, then you can go overkill like this and keep the power going for a long time. I don't know if that's a really affordable option though, but that's an option anyway. All right, let's see what about those chat here. OnlyFans link. I don't. Well, actually, I do have like on the. You can join the behind the scene thing. I don't do that much video usually on behind the scene, but if that's something that's interesting to you, then can keep the phone going when I'm setting up for stuff and show you a little bit of what I'm doing or what video is gonna come up soon. What else? Bingus Bungus. Hello, I'm new here, but been watching for a while. Well, thank you for stopping by and watch. I really appreciate this. Try to share as much knowledge as I can all the time, from mechanic to power tools. I'm 310T mechanic myself, so 310T, it's in Canada, Ontario. That means I'm truck and coach, so can work on transport truck, buses, like I have lots of experience working on everything from street sweeper to boom trucks and tons of things like that there. So usually if I don't really going to do that much video about working on transport truck, but every time I need to fix my car, my truck, or whatever, then I'll try to film what I'm doing, just because I think that, like, seeing how it works sometimes it's the best. And most people don't want to spend like thousands of dollars going to the dealership or the mechanic to get their car work done. And some of this work is super easy. You just need the basic knowledge to be able to do it. So I'm going to show you everything that I do, and then you guys can use that and try to save a little bit of money at home. All right, what's next? Can you show it powering your TV? I will have to do a little bit of setup right now. I got some older video that I was using power inverter like this. This is a newer style, so I'm going to use those right now, like review those very soon. Those can charge your battery so when you plug in into the wall using the cable, they can charge your YOB battery that's going to be plugged in at the bottom. And then when you're running out of power, you can use the port. There's a 120 volt port. There's 2 USB-A cable, or you can use the USB-C cable that comes with it that plugs in the back. And you can use all this stuff to power up your phone, power up your TV. Those are 150 watt, but I tested the older version that wasn't charging the battery. And you can see me on there powering up fish tank equipment. So I power up air bubbler, I powered up the lights. We try to power up the canister filter as well. So we did that. And that was also 150 watt. So the newer version, I got both because I got that. I was lucky this year. Got that for Christmas. Yeah, I know. I haven't unpacked them yet. Been so busy. I've been busy reviewing that Yarbo, and I had a few sponsor tools to deal with first. So those video, of course, had to come up first. But yeah, those were not sponsored. Those are actually just gift that I got for Christmas. So I got the gift without the battery first, and then I got the gift that came with the battery after. And then I forget if it was my wife or somebody told me like, oh, well, you want us to return one of them? And I'm like, no way. Like, I can always use more batteries and more inverter. Like I said, like if you want to power up your TV and your modem might not be right beside it. So now I can have like my modem is in the basement actually. So I can power up my modem in the basement with one inverter and then use the other one to power up the TV. And then the other thing that I did too with the inverter, if you guys are looking at some of the older video, I had the 800 watt version of this, and I have the 1000 here, and I tested them to power up a fish room because about a year ago, we were up to 23 or 26 fish tank, and it was my son. He started that when he was 10 years old. Like I got a cichlid tank, African cichlid tank from Lake Malawi at the beginning. And then the fish were breeding like crazy in there. And he's like, oh, I want to see if I can like catch some of the baby and grow them up and see what happens. I'm like, okay, well, you need a small tank for this in your room and you can see the baby grow. So we let him do that. And he was doing paper route. So he was making a little bit of money, and he started buying aquarium because he wanted to bring more and more babies and needed different sizes aquarium. So he can move the baby when they're like a little bit bigger into the bigger aquarium and then put the new baby into the small aquarium and then keep going like this. And he ended up like starting to, sell that to people, like put ads online and people would come here to buy some. And the next thing you know, we got one more tank and one more tank and one more tank. And you want more breeding group. And we started to be recognized out there. And then people like, big breeders or fish importer would contact us and say like, hey, I have a breeding group that's getting old here. Do you want it? So, drive with my son an hour away and then we go buy another breeding group. And next thing you know, 26 tanks were supplying fish to 3 different fish store, not steady like every week and stuff, but they would buy a couple times a year, they would buy 200-300 fish at the time. So, and we were producing probably like close to 1,000 fish a year, just growing the babies and taking care of all of this. So anyway, so I needed to have the backup. And that was super important, right? Because the babies are so fragile when they're super, super small and they're freshly born. You're running them with bubbler. You cannot have a filter going in there because it moves the water too much. And anyway, everything needs to stay stable. And there's a few times that unfortunately we learned the hard way that we couldn't keep those fish alive for more than a couple of hours if we didn't have power inverter. And this is why actually I started to get so many different power inverter, started the battery, the one that connects to the car battery and all this. And we just grow and grow and needed more and more inverter to back up and started to add the battery backup. If you guys keep fish, get the battery backup, lithium battery backup air pump. And this thing is amazing because you leave it plugged in all the time. And if it's plugged into your wall outlet, it'll just keep running normally. And as soon as it detects that the power gets cut off to that outlet, because you have a power outage, then it switches by itself to the lithium battery. So it's not like this here where like, if you're not home, then you're not going to do that on time. But with the battery backup one, for that pump there, it was perfect. I get that actually. That was a sponsor video from a company that sells fish product, and they wanted me to review that pump. And we're using that on those little breather box with the airflow to filter the water and oxygen it for the babies. So that was great. Now it's just, I have African cichlids. They're from Lake Tanganyika. If you guys know those, they're red rainbow. So I did some video on my other channel. I have a fish channel also. So you can go and check this out if you want. It's called Ben African Cichlids. I haven't posted video on there for a long time because I'm concentrating on this channel, ToolSpec. But I have like 250 videos on there that shows everything from, feeding, and I can review some fish food, some project. I teach people how to breed fish, take care of the baby, how to sell them, how to go to auction, what you have to fill up, all the paperwork for it, where to buy your fish, all that, how to take care of your fish if there's disease in your aquarium too. So I teach people how to do all of this. And that was doing pretty good. The channel was growing. I had lots of sponsors. I was actually sponsored by, if you have fish, a company called Northfin. So Northfin was sponsoring the channel too. So that was part of the food that I was reviewing, and also the company Tropical. They also sponsored the channel for a bit, and they sponsored some auction for me, some fish auction, because I was part of the people that was running a fish club, a local fish club, and we used to do fish auction a couple of times a year. All right, let's see about the chat there, because I'm blabbing a lot and I'm not answering your questions. Yeah, so the power up, come back to Bingus Bongus there. I'm not going to power up a TV right now. I have video, and whenever I'm opening those other inverter, that's the kind of test that we're going to do. And so we're going to try to run fan. We're going to try to see whatever we can run with them. And I also got one of those little tool here. And this is, you plug that in between. So you'll plug it into your inverter, and then or your block, if you just want to test your phone block to charge your stuff, you plug that on one side, and then on the other side you plug in your cable, and it will tell you exactly how much amp or power or voltage you can go through it, and it'll tell you everything. There's a little button on the side here to go through all of the number here, and they'll tell you exactly how much your inverter is pushing to charge your phone. Now, of course, this is not to test the 120 volt. This is just test your USB-A, USB-C. There's also an adapter here to test your micro USB. So we're going to test all this. I never did the video to test the different power that we're getting from all those different plugs. So we're going to, I tested to see if it was charging the phone, but we didn't know how fast it was charging it. So with this, we'll be able to calculate how fast everything's going to happen. And then I'm thinking about getting something to be able to calculate and really push the power and crank up to figure out exactly how much power those 120 volt outlet are pushing. And I want to get the tool. I know about the tool already, which one I'm going to get, but so there's an adjustment on there, and then you adjust it and you crank off how much resistance you're putting through the system. And then we can put enough resistance and see if it's really pushing 120 watt or less, or 1,000 watt or less, depending the battery that we're using. So anyway, those are videos that are gonna come up when I'm ready to unbox those. Sorry, should have grabbed a glass of water here. CPEC machine. Yeah, CPEC machine. That's the name of the machine I was trying to remember about helping people to breathe earlier. So yeah, you want to have a pure sine inverter, if pure sine wave inverter, if that's something that you're going to run camping or something like this. So you'll want something like this one. 310T, that sounds hard. I work for YOB Corporate. Well, so bingus bungus, if you work for YOB Corporate, you're going to be happy with this channel then, because I think that probably 3/4 of the channel is about YOB project. Yeah, 310T. I've been doing that for a long time. Mechanic. I started mechanic when I was, so the 310T is the mechanic license. So I started that, started to work at Mid-Ontario on Mack trucks. That's a dealership in Barrie. I was in 96. I was 16 years old. That was my first co-op, and then they hired me after that to work after school, evenings, and stuff like that. So started that. I really liked it. And then when I was done school, I went to college for 1 year. So I didn't need to go to college. I could have started the apprenticeship right away, but I went to college so that I'm able to learn, because as you can tell, English is not my first language. So my first language is French, but I live in Ontario, surrounded with English language. But I wanted to make sure that I just moved from Ontario a few years before, and I wanted to make sure that I understood everything about the 310T mechanic. So I went to up north. They had a French college there. I still have it. It's called Boreal College. So I went up there, and then I did the AV mechanic course for 1 year. I wasn't giving you your license, but I was giving you all your basic teaching, like taking engine apart, taking transmission apart, like we're reviewing everything. Not as in depth as you're doing when you go for the college course as you're doing your apprenticeship, but that's the course that I did there for 1 year. Then I came back, and then I did other little job until I find something, and then I started to work for company Greyhound. I don't think they're called Greyhound anymore, but anyway, so that was about in 2005. So that's when I started my apprenticeship officially. So yeah, and the apprenticeship's 3 years. So I've been a licensed mechanic for quite a while. Okay. Other question, fish tank equipment, it will support it. How about big charcoal filter I have for my Nemo fish? Well, usually canister filter or any equipment like this. So air bubbler, if we're going to talk about air bubbler for your aquarium, that's usually in between 3 and 7 watt. So any of those inverter, that's 200 watt inverter. That's 300 watt inverter. So this one here, 300 watt, if you just use the YOB battery, no problem. For a hair bubbler, canister filter, most canister filter are going to be in between 18 and 26 watt. So also no problem. I figured that your charcoal filter, it's probably going to be around the 20 watt. I never run a charcoal filter myself, but the only thing that really causes trouble when you're trying to run anything for fish-related aquarium stuff with inverter, usually it's going to be your heater. But usually the fish, the temperature won't fluctuate. It's the bigger the tank too, it won't change that big of temperature that fast. So usually if you're going to have power out for a couple of days, throw a blanket over the tank, and it'll barely change any temperature. Your fish are going to be fine. So the only thing that you have to worry about in power outage is the airflow in your tank, especially if you're not having a really heavy planted tank. So you want to make sure that the fish don't consume all the oxygen into the water. And for that, if you know a little bit about aquarium, you need to break the surface tension of the water. So if you have air bubbler, then that breaks it and it brings oxygen into your tank. So it's actually not the air bubbler or the little bubble that you're seeing going up that's bringing oxygen in your tank. It's the surface agitation. And that's what really is the toxic gas from that your fish are doing too. All right, next question. Yeah, that was excellent. Excellent gift. Sounds like you're very wealthy selling that many fish. No. Breeding and selling fish, that's more of a hobby. Now, I was letting my son keeping all of the money from doing the sale and stuff, but if I would have done it myself, it wasn't really worth it, because after you pay for food, I was sponsored for food, so we didn't pay for food for 2 years of breeding. We did that for 6 years. So anyway, but yeah, if you take all the costs in consideration, then you're pretty much doing that for fun, and you break even at the end of the day, and you get to keep your fish that, you know, your breeding group that you love, and it don't cost you nothing. So, but you're not going to get rich doing that. It's more for fun and meeting other people in the hobby. I hear about your channel from Direct Tool Outlet. We send refurbished product to them. We send the one we cannot resell and new to Amazon return. Yeah, I was dealing with Direct Tool in Canada here in Vaughan, Ontario. I bought quite a bit of stuff from them, but they're closing at the end of March. So I guess you're going to have to send your project somewhere else. Maybe here? No, I don't know. But contact me. It might not be a joke. Je déménage à Cambridge dans 2 semaines. Oh, cool. So it won't be too far from me, I guess. So that was French. He's saying that he is moving to a town nearby pretty soon. Puis-je avoir une démonstration en direct dès maintenant d'un ondulateur? I'm not quite certain what the ondulator is. Did you get the new DeWalt 1000 watt inverter? No, I didn't get the new DeWalt 1000 watt inverter. I have access to the old one. A friend of mine have the old one. He said that I can bring it to show you guys and do some tests. So maybe that's something that we're going to end up doing in the near future. But as you can see, I still have lots of tools that I haven't unpacked yet. So I'm running behind, and I'm going to receive actually the lawnmower head from Yarbo. That's going to be my next big project that I'm supposed to review. Oreo is better green, yellow. Yeah, other than that, yeah, the old style is all blue, the blue tools, but yeah, the green and yellow is looks amazing. Where do you work now? Can work? I'm not going to share that information there. I can tell you that I work on Mack trucks, but I cannot tell you exactly where I work because of the stuff that I'm doing online and stuff. Like, you know, it makes sense. Work don't want to be related, just in case if somebody don't like a video or don't like the tool, they don't want their customer to be related to they don't want to be related to my channel, so that but it could go both ways, right? It could help them, but it can also hurt them. So we decided to keep everything separate. I offer to talk about them online, but this is not something that we're going to do. So I'm not gonna share exactly where I work. Will the inverter work on my head jack and squirrel cage light? I want to make sure it goes through. Rarely does my power goes out, but I also focus on making peach time jewelry. So depending of how many watts is your system that you're going to work on there, the hedgehog and the squirrel cage, I assume that it's probably going to be working with just sensors, and it's not going to require that much power. So I'm assuming that it's going to probably be like around the 50 watt area, 50 watt, 100 watt. So most of those inverters here, you would be able to use them for that. All right, next one. Although it was particularly difficult to focus, the bilingual squirrel and the angry hedgehogs managed to fix the refrigerator at the rural hotel through arranging the three icon color cloth. Right, we have a joker here. While hungry, rarely distracted by the peach jewel color, the hierarchy threshold of Thanksgiving. Oops, my phone screen is cracked. Autocorrect. Yeah, that's a autocorrect to do here. So I think that we actually went through most of the thing for emergency here. I guess one thing that I can show you is my little system, or you can go watch the video about installing the backup, the battery backup sun pump that I have in the basement. I also have a generator, a gas generator, Honda generator 3000. It's like an inverter generator, super quiet. Trouble though is in Canada, the government a few years ago put a rule that even if you were getting premium fuel, it still had that stuff in there from the corn there, ethanol. And that actually gums up everything. I just cannot stand that stuff. Anyway, and it wrecks all the small engines. So if you're having trouble with your lawnmower going or your generator or anything like this, it's because of that fuel with the ethanol in there. So if you're somewhere where there's no ethanol in the fuel or a different grade that don't have ethanol, then use that fuel, and that's going to take care of most of the problem that you would have with your small gas engine. So because of that, battery backup and solar panel is your best bet there for power outage and giving you a little bit of power out. All right, what else here? I like your review video. Thank you. Well, I'm going to have to wrap this up because I'm having people coming over for a few drinks tonight. And yeah, I still have to make the supper for wife and kids there. All right. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate you. Thanks for the nice comment there. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. If there's anything that you would like to see or you'd like to see next, then shoot me a message. I have my email link into the description of the channel. And if not, just send me messages under any of the video. I read all of my messages all the time, and I try to reply as fast as I can. So sometimes it can take a few days. Sometimes it can take 15 minutes. It depends whenever I get a second to reply. But yeah, let me know what you want to see. If I already have that tool, then I'll try to do that video next. If not, then I have enough tool. I'll keep pumping video every week. and hopefully you're happy with the next one I do. All right, see you.